Okay, in class we had some trouble calculating a line of fit for a scatter plot given data. So here are some instructions so that you can practice it. You were given a homework sheet with sets of data on it, and you were to use the calculator to calculate the line of fit. So that's what we're going to do today. First, let's analyze this data a little bit to make sure we know what we're doing. We have two variables here, our x and our y's. Now, x is independent variable, which is the hours studied, and our y represents test scores, which is dependent on the number of hours that we studied. We're going to try to figure out here if there's a correlation between these two sets of data. So what we're looking at here is each one of these represents a student. Okay, one student studied for 1 hour and received a 65, earned a 65 on the test. Another student studied for 1 hour and got a 58 on the test. A third student studied for 2 hours and earned a 72, and so on. So 3 hours, 75, 4 hours, 80, 6 hours, 90, 7 hours, 95. If we take a quick look, we can see that it looks like the more hours that the students studied, the better score they earned on the test. So as the x variable goes up, the y variable is also going up. So I predict that there will be a positive correlation between these two sets of data. In order to figure this out, the correlation of the data, we need to see the data, the scatter plot. So the first thing we need to do is put the data into our graphing calculator. So here's our calculator. Step 1 to place data in is to press, we need to press Stat, and we are going to edit, so we press Enter. In the interest of time, I have already placed the data into the calculator. So our first student, as you can see at the top of the list, studied for 1 hour and earned a 65. When you're putting the data in, L1 is for the x variable, the x data, and L2 would be the y. Remember, when you're putting data in, to press the number and then press Enter so that you can go down to the next list. And when you need to go over to the y list, you can press the right arrow and it'll scroll over so that you can place the y values in. Real quick, I'm just going to put on the screen, here are the instructions to do that. So when you come back to use this, if you forget what you're supposed to press, you can go to this screen on the video and pause it so that you can look at what you're doing. All right, let's go back to the graphing calculator. All right, now that we have our data into the calculator, our next step, step 2, is to graph the data. Here are the instructions for graphing the data. So if you want to see this later, you can pause this screen. All right, I'll leave it here for a second so you can pause it. Okay, let's go back to the graphing calculator and see what our scatter plot looks like. In order to do this, we're going to press the second button and then the y equals button, which above it in blue says stat plot. That's what we're trying to get. Okay, we're going to use stat plot 1. We press Enter. And then let's look at what it says here. Okay, you can see in the flashing box that we need to turn it on, so we press Enter. And then let's just check what we have here. It says type, and you can see that that looks like a scatter plot, so that's good. And then it says X list in L1. So underneath list 1, where we put our data, we have the X values, so that is correct, and Y list for list 2, so that's correct. All right, so we have everything that we need in order to see the graph. In order to see the graph next, I'm just going to press Zoom, which is in the middle at the top, number 9. Okay, here's what our scatter plot looks like. As you can see, we do have a positive correlation. As the x-axis goes up, the x variable, so does the y variable. So we can say that the more that students study, the higher their grade will be. All right? The next step we need to take in order to is to calculate the line of fit for this data. Okay, in order to calculate the line of fit for this data, we are going to go to step 3 here, and it says calculate the line of fit. When we are looking for a line of fit, it is in slope-intercept form. Y equals mx plus b. Okay? And we're looking for the line that goes directly through the data. Remember that the calculator uses a for slope. So when they give you a equals, that is the slope of the line of fit. All right, let's go to the calculator. Here are the directions for what we're going to press. We're going to press stat. Now we need to scroll over to calculate, C-A-L-C, and we want number 4, which is linear regression. And you can see AX plus B right there. And we're going to press number 4. All right, and then we press enter. As you can see, it says y equals ax plus b. They use a for slope instead of m. Okay, and it says a equals 5.4, or 5 4/10. We're going to round to 5 4/10. And b equals 57 8/10. All right, so we're going to use those to write our line of fit. Slope 5.4, 5 4/10. Y-intercept 57 8/10. And we're going to round that to 58. So for this line, we have y equals 5 4/10 plus, we're going to round to 58 for our y-intercept. Okay, let's talk about this equation and what it means here. Okay, our slope is 5 4/10. And in the context of this problem, that means that our score should go up, or a student's score should go up by 5 4/10% for every hour that they study. Our y-intercept of 58 represents the score that a student would get if they studied for 0 hours. A sketch of the graph, let's see, we're going to check. We should say this point right here would be 58 because that represents 0 hours. And we should have a slope looking like this that goes through the scatter plot. Let's take a look at what it looks like on the calculator. Okay, in order to do that, we're going to go over to step 3 was calculate the line of fit. Step 4, it says if you would like to see what the line of fit looks like going through the data, we press y equals, and then we're going to put in the slope, x, plus, and the y-intercept. So let's go to our calculator, and we're going to press y equals our slope, 5 4/10. This button with the x is our x, plus 58 was our y-intercept, and we're going to press graph. So there is our line of fit. If you have any questions, feel free to email me. I'll have my email. I'll check my email this weekend. Remember, you have a test on your Unit 3 test on Monday or Tuesday. See you later.